Good morning. Welcome to Mindset, Heartset, Reset. I hope everybody had a fabulous long weekend. It was Easter weekend for many people. And for those of you that celebrate Nowruz, I know it was the final year of the new year. So thank you so much. We're looking forward to this show so much today. And I'm going to tell you a little secret before I just introduce the show today. I actually found our guest on Instagram, and he's going to change your feed on Instagram forever. So we're so excited to have this guest with us today. And for those of you that are coming in live, welcome from YouTube, Facebook, and of course, Humanities Team live stream. So we're so happy to have you here with us today. And today's new day, new month, April the 2nd. We've got a lot going on for you this month that we're excited to introduce, but we're going to start with the show. And so welcome to Heartset, Mindset, Heartset, Reset. We are a dynamic live weekly show, and we really aim at provoking introspection. We cultivate compassion and spark positive change in your lives and everyone around you. Through our insightful discussions with honestly remarkable guests, we're going to show you practical tools combined with authentic stories. They're going to nurture and empower your own mindset. They're going to open your heart to new connections and the world. We are going to give you the courage during this show, every show, to look at hitting that reset button in your own life. And we are here for a simple mission with this show, to expand love at a global scale with a vision to shift humanity's future into one that we can all thrive. So to get the show started, first thing I'm going to do is introduce my co-host today. And the good Dr. Roshanak Hashimune is here with us today. And, you know, I always feel so blessed to have her with me because she's like my brain to my heart. So just to give you a little introduction to the brilliance of this woman, she's a credential, computational, clinical, and behavioral neuroscientist whose work has supported the transformation of countless lives all over the world. She is the founder of Access to the Path, and she combines the power and process of science with emotional and spiritual intelligence to generate a compelling and innovative strategies for your own life that help people and businesses become more purposeful, effective, and prosperous. So welcome, my friend. I am going to turn it right over to you because I don't want to wait even a minute today to introduce our guests. If you can introduce our new series and show and our guests to the stage.
Hello, thank you so much, Jacqueline. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our show, Mindset, Heartset, Reset. I am Dr. Roshanak Hashimune. Jacqueline and I are co-hosts of this amazing show, and we're super excited to bring you our new series for the month of April, Conscious Business. So conscious business is really sitting at the intersection of personal fulfillment and professional excellence. This is how healthy workplace cultures really make their impact into the world. And, you know, we spend like 1/3 of our time, at least nearly globally, connected to our professional side, to our work side. And that's huge when you think the other 1/3 should be you sleeping. If there's 24 hours a day, 3/8, you got 8 hours of work and you got 8 hours of sleep, and the other 8 hours is yours. So there's really an amazing opportunity for us to express ourselves when we are involved in our work, whether it's we're working for someone, whether we have our own work, whether we're entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, employees, leaders, managers, CEOs, whatever we are, we always bring ourselves fully to work. And so when we want a better world, when we want to be fulfilled, when we want to express all the blessings and gifts and skills that are within us to show that creativity and to really bring forth our passions, then work becomes really pivotal and the cornerstone for how we move through our lives, whether it's through the practicalities of getting our insurance, for example, through work, or having it be subsidized through work, or it's the passion and effort that we put into whatever it is that we're doing for our work. We really need to remember that business is a noble pursuit because we offer something that somebody else wants. Both ends get fulfilled. It's a win-win situation. So conscious capitalism, conscious business, spirituality, and business, these absolutely are fundamental to our focus as we move forward and as we create a better world for ourselves. So welcome to our Conscious Business, Spirituality, and Business series. We're super excited to have you here today. We are with the inimitable Dr. Fouad Alame. So excited to have him here. We'll get to him in just a minute. We're talking about the heart of success, personal growth for professional leadership. And so I want to introduce you a little bit to what we'll be discussing today. Today, we're going to uncover how understanding our innermost desire not only shapes our personal lives, but also directs our professional journeys. Isn't that wonderful? Because, you take yourself to work every day. So this episode is really a must watch for leaders seeking to share their influence for their organizations that are aiming to thrive through people-centric approaches, who are going to receive, you would receive actionable insights right now, especially if you're in as a leader position, to how you can develop that leadership style. But leadership, you'll come to see, isn't just at work, it's in our own personal lives as well. So everything that we're doing is going to resonate with authenticity and purpose as we go through the beautiful insights from the extensive experience that Dr. Alame has. We'll end up finding out how to have more engaging and fulfilling workplace culture. And we'll find that the potential of our personal growth is really the cornerstone of our professional leadership. And that can pave the way for an era of business success where empathy and human connection are at the forefront. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my beautiful guest, Dr. Fouad Alame. He's brilliant. I'm going to give you a little short bio about him because, you just need to know how amazing he is. So Dr. Fouad Alame, welcome. Dr. Fouad Alame is a transformation strategist and coach. He's a leading expert in people, leadership, and organizational development, and the best-selling author of 3 books, Inspire Your People, Empower Yourself, and Inspire Your Life. He has developed and led over 45 transformational programs with thousands of participants from over 30 countries. Dr. Fouad's mission is to help individuals, leaders, and organizations accelerate their transformation and achieve their full potential. He holds a doctorate in business administration centered on transformational leadership and emotional intelligence from the University of Strathclyde in the UK. His daily inspirational content has reached over 100 million viewers on Instagram and TikTok. And you heard how Jacqueline found him on Instagram.
I'm a stalker. Yeah, I'm a stalker.
Well, because we do, interact with the world, especially now digitally. And when people influence us, when we're taken by someone who gives us such amazing content, we hit the follow button and then we learn more. And so it leads to this amazing win-win situation. And I love that. I want to tell you one thing about Dr. Fouad as soon as we just give him a chance to say hello to the audience. Welcome, Dr. Fouad Alame.
Hello. It's great to be here. I'm excited about this conversation, and your mission is something that is very aligned with my work and my journey. So that's why I'm here, and I can't wait to dive deep into this conversation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So I want to tell you a little something about Dr. Alame. Because his name says it all. His last name, Alame, is Arabic. In Arabic means master, someone who has reached an advanced level of knowledge. And his first name, Fouad, means heart. So aren't we fortunate to find someone who is heart and mind in one person so fully and has reached this amazing level of master, who's coming to speak to us and help us understand how we can have the best lives possible, personally and professionally.
Thank you so much. I think we are all students on this journey of self-transformation, of self-discovery, of self-actualization. So for me, it's amazing to be in a place to share some of the lessons that I've been learning on this journey and helping people through that. So
Thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate your humility. But you'll see, you guys, what I was talking about. So, Jacqueline, I know you have a burning question for Dr. Alame.
Yeah. I'm going to start right off the top. And for those of you that didn't read the description, but enough of you are here, I think that you did. One of the great discussions we had before we started this interview, and my favorite question that had come up was, if you only have 1 year to live, what are you going to do with it? Can I ask you, why this question? Why should we lead our lives from this question? How will it start to change our approach and make us look at our life a little bit differently? And how has it done it for you?
Yeah. Well, overall, we are living in a society where we are so much conditioned to to live according to certain expectations, but this in a way dilutes our mission in life, or our purpose in life, or at least what we really desire. And that's why it's so important to look at life as something which is finite, and we look at this and ask ourselves the question: if we have limited time, which is actually the case, what would we do? And that's why, if we keep asking this question, we find that a lot of things that we are doing don't make sense, and a lot of things that we are not doing, we need to start doing them and start going on the journey, exploring them. And that's why it's a powerful question. And when I ask it to people, some people laugh when I ask them this question, and I'm like, why are you laughing? Like, it's, if you would be dead in 1 year, you should be in a way like maybe scared, but I think when I ask them this question, they feel maybe some of them for the first time looking at life like, what do I really want to do, versus like what's expected from me, or what society wants me, or how society wants me to live, right? And this is actually the power, is this lens makes you look at life and look at yourself in a completely different way.
Love that. Thank you. Dr. Roshanak?
Yes, I really appreciate that. People think, now we know that we're going to not be around forever. Tomorrow's promised to no one. And then if you think about it, 5 minutes from now is promised to no one. So the idea that people laugh or don't think about, I think it's more a defensive thing, or a denial thing. And because they are disconnected from the truth of life. And I believe that connecting to the truth of life is fundamental to everything. So we connect to ourselves, we connect to others, we connect to life, and suddenly it can become so much more fulfilling. And that's what people want. They want to be fulfilled. They can have all the trappings of success and feel unfulfilled. And then they go, well, what do I do now? I did everything. I got the house, I got the spouse, I got the letters, I got the friends, I got the everything. And why am I still feeling empty or unfulfilled, or as it were? So I think this question really beautifully brings people back into connection with themselves, their lives, and all the parts of them, as you said, because people tend to separate out their personal and professional lives, right? And it wasn't until the pandemic and the Great Reset and the Great Resignation that people started to say, well, you know what? My life is really valuable, and I'm not even going to have the golden handcuffs anymore. So there are stories of people getting $100,000 bonuses, and they're like, no, it's not worth losing the time with my family or with my friends, or to do the things that are so meaningful to me, which really comes back to the idea of having been so disintegrated, so fragmented before. And this question brings us into the reintegration of self, because we live in we have been taught almost to live in a fragmented world. And so I want to ask you this, is where workplace is so fundamental to how we express ourselves for so much of our lives. Could you speak a little bit to the importance of the workplace environment? Because you said behavior is a function of the individual and the environment, and that's of course very true. And we know that you could be the seed of a rose, but if you're in the desert, you're not going to have the best chances, because you're not in the best environment, you're not in the best soil. On the other hand, if you're a cactus seed and you're in a tropical jungle, also not the optimum environment. So could you speak a little bit to this idea of how important our environment is to our flourishing, and how what we bring to our workplace affects that environment?
Yeah, I think there are many dimensions to this question. The first one is, it's so important to go and do the work that we are meant to be doing. And a lot of us, we end up in jobs that we hate because, again, like for the salary, for the title. I mean, I found myself in my career in the corporate world that I had the title, I had the salary, I'm living in a great country, I have all the things that society say that are important, but I was still not happy. And that was the time when I started to ask myself the question, which is, why I'm not happy? And I found that I drifted, and drifting is so dangerous, because like there is this saying which says the most dangerous way to hell is a gradual one, the one that you don't really feel or realize that you are heading in that direction. So, and a lot of people end up on that path only late in life to realize this. And that's what we talk about in terms of midlife crisis, maybe for a lot of people. The fact that we took a lot of choices based on expectations and not based on our heart and what we are really meant to be doing. So that's one dimension of this. And then second in this is the kind of companies or the kind of workplace that we work at. And we want, of course, to be at the best workplace or an organization which has values which are aligned with our values, with our mission, our purpose. But beyond this, if we are actually not in a place like this, some cases we are able to be the change. We are able to improve the environment and change the environment. And that's why I like to say, change your company or change your company. And what I mean by that is improve your company or help it become better, or go somewhere where you can do great work and help and co-create and shape. Because in a way, life is too short if you want to live it in a place where you are not fulfilled or not making a difference. So that's from an individual perspective. Then from a leadership perspective, what is so important is to create an environment for people to flourish and become their best and do their best. And organizations are in a unique position to shape that, to improve that, to develop that. I mean, government, you can say, has or the governments have a lot of interest in terms of developing economies, etc. But organizations, they have the highest interest in terms of having the highest return and the best results. And the key determinator of this is the capabilities of the people. So that's why developing the people and creating a great environment for the people to do and become their best is a big win for the organization. So it's a big win to the organization, it's a big win for the people, it's a big win to the world in a way. So that's why organizations can change the world. And that's why kind of investing in this, investing in developing the people and creating better environments and workplaces it's a great mission.
I absolutely couldn't agree with you more. And, the term spiritual intelligence was first brought into the world as this terminology in the framework of business, right? And I believe it was 1997. And people think that spirituality has nothing to do with business, or they don't even know what spiritual intelligence is. And so a spiritual practice is meditation. And meditation helps us to change the structure and function of the brain. And it allows us really to change the set point for how we might respond or react to, the slings and arrows of the world, let's say. So affective stimuli are those things that affect us, that would maybe destabilize us because we have a powerful emotional reaction as opposed to a response. And so if leaders, for example, were to practice meditation to the point where they become dispositionally mindful, then it's not being disconnected from our emotions, but it's a spiritual practice, a spiritual intelligence that leads to an emotional intelligence, which is being able to understand and manage your own emotions so that you can understand and manage others' emotions. So when you've got a team of people and they're all going to have their own things going on, then it's easy enough for you to become emotionally dysregulated. And we know from neuroscience, and let me put on my little neuroscientist hat, that resting state brain dynamics, which is if you put a scanner on somebody's head and what they look like when they're just resting and not focusing on anything in particular, those very predictably, those very reliably predict how we will respond to these affective stimuli. So you can practice mindfulness meditation that makes you into a person who can connect to their emotions without becoming hijacked by them, and therefore, in that way, be a better leader. That's one example of how we can improve and how spirituality has a place in business. Could you speak to us through your extensive experience of some of the other ways in which you find heart-centered leadership is a win-win situation?
Yeah. Well, so are you saying that how this is powerful in terms of creating great workplaces?
Yes.
Is this what you mean? Yeah. I mean, look, leadership is a people business, right? So, and the challenge in leadership is that you have someone who is really good at something and then suddenly become a leader. So, and I mean, you are a doctor, and you know that in order, for example, for someone to become a surgeon, needs to do like a lot of studies, but then a lot of practice, right? But what do we do in organizations? Let's take the metaphor of a hospital, right? So you have a nurse who's doing a great job, and then suddenly they come to her and they say, or to him, and say, you know what? You are now a surgeon, and you will go operate. It doesn't work this way, you know. And even if they studied, it doesn't work this way. Why? Because you are dealing with people. Now, if you got the title of being a surgeon and you go operate on someone, for sure you will put their life in danger. And that's also what a lot of so-called leaders, have doing in the workplace today. They are damaging maybe not the physiology of the people, but their emotions and their psychology, right? So their mindset, they're creating scars in them. So that's why it's so important to develop leaders who know how to deal with people and who are self-aware, or so who are compassionate, who can manage their emotions, who practice something. Now, meditation is one practice, but there are so many other practices. And I think for some people this works, for other people something else works.
Yeah.
But you cannot show up at the workplace hoping that you would be able to lead. You need to develop yourself. So when you go there, you are spreading belief in. So people believe in themselves, believe in their company, believe in the future, believe in the leadership, believe in the product, etc. And how to create that belief? So you don't hope for it, you create it.
Could you tell us a couple of, like, maybe one other way in which a great leader can create, or a person can become that great leader and create this beautiful workplace?
I mean, one of the basic things is you need to be self-aware, and to be self-aware, you need to reflect. And so, and how to reflect? I mean, it's not something that you would do it once in a while. Like, every day you are going through experiences, and every experience there is a lesson, and every lesson is a diamond. Now, let me tell you this, okay? You are going for a hike, okay? And you find a diamond. What do? You walk by it and you say, you know what? I'm going back to that path and I will pick it up, or you pick it up right away. I mean, of course you will pick it up right away. Because there is no guarantee you will go back on that path. And there is no guarantee if you go back on that path, you will find it. So every lesson is a diamond. And every lesson from your own experience is more powerful than 100 books and working with 100 experts. So why would you waste that diamond? And that's the power of self-reflection. That's the power of being aware of our experiences, about the lessons, about the challenges, and asking ourselves the question, like, okay, how did I give you one example. This is a question I ask myself every day. What's my daily regret? or what are my daily regrets? And when you start asking this question every single day, you start to notice maybe there is a pattern. And when you have a pattern, you go and you solve the source of that pattern. So, and that's why you want to reflect. And the more we do, the more we are able to know what are our strengths and what are our limitations. And we can develop some of these limitations, and some of these limitations, some other limitations, we need to have someone with us who can complement us, who can compensate for that weakness or that area. So this is so important, and that's why, again, like, leadership is self-awareness, you know. And this is the base for everything. I mean, without it, you are just, you are going and just shooting like this. You don't see anything. You're just kind of working without a map, without anything. So that's I think the foundation of all. And then, of course, you need to have the right mindset. You need to have like a full responsibility. You need to have a vision. You need to have values to stand for. All these come from leadership, and we're not talking about even formal leadership. It's informal leadership, like people who don't have a title.
Right. I know, Jacqueline, you're burning to ask a question.
Okay,
but
I'm good. I'm taking it all in. It's fantastic.
I do want to follow this thread to one other very important point, and that is when we were talking, you and I, Dr. Alame, you were talking about how we are leaders in our own personal lives as well. Can you help us understand the extension of all of this to personal leadership?
Yeah, I mean, what is leadership? It's influence, right? So, and every time we are showing up in this world, we are influencing someone. Now, I give you one example. I went with a friend of mine to a seminar, and then the seminar, and they sell a lot of other products. Okay, he's younger than me, so in a way, he's looking at me as like someone who is like big brother. Okay, so I go there, and I told him, look, I'm not gonna attend all the sessions. I will attend the sessions where I see the biggest value. So what happened? What happened is he attended 10% of the seminar, while I attended around 70-80%. So in a way, I didn't set a good example in front of him, you see? So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to informal leadership. Like, we are always influencing people. Another time I was like with a friend who is he goes to the gym with me, and then I'm going to a grocery store with him, and I picked up like a chocolate bar, and I was like, am I a good example for him? Like, and there is nothing wrong about eating like a chocolate bar.
Oh no, no.
Talking to the wrong girl. She completely agreed with you.
Yeah.
You're talking to a serious chocoholic and a chocolate file.
That's one of the gifts I have living in Switzerland. So I still savor chocolate and I enjoy it. But the idea is that, I mean, honestly, I just ask myself the question: am I a good example here? You know, and I think. I was telling a friend of mine about it. I was like, what a powerful question you could ask. Am I a good example? Am I a good example for my kids when I behave this way? Am I a good example?
But how much do we live for being a good example for others as opposed to being true to ourselves, for example? You see what I mean? Isn't it also, am I a good example for myself, or am I aligned with my own values, etc.? Being in an integrity with my beliefs and so on. Absolutely.
There is intersection between the two. I mean, like when I tell people like, okay, what would you do if you had 1 year to live? Some people say, yeah, I would just don't care about anything. I would just enjoy it. It's like, no, that's not true. You will not do that. You will not do that. You will not do that. When you face it, you want to leave the world a better place, and you want to be true to yourself, and you want to enjoy life. It's not either or. This is the key. A lot of people talk about one of these two. It's not either or. It's both.
It's all
Do you want
right.
do you want to live or you want to give? You want to do both.
Mm.
Do you want to love or you want to be loved? You want to do both. You want to impact or you want to receive or make or savor. You want to do both. And the challenge is that we somehow we are stuck on one side.
You had said that. I know, Jacqueline, I'm so sorry.
Okay. Good.
I'm having too much. It's just there's too much here. You had said that, Dr. Alame, that when you die, you want to die full and empty, and that there are only two things: there's living and giving, and there's loving. And so, when you talk about you want to do both, and then people talk about self-care or caring for others or self-love, especially, right, or loving others. And Jacqueline knows I rail against things like self-love and self this and self that, because I think if you have love for yourself and others. If you have compassion, you have compassion for yourself and others. There's an equal amount of honor and respect and empathy and love and compassion for all, including you, right? So and you speak to this and this idea of being full and empty. So maybe you could just go a little bit further at that, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I mean, so dying empty means, and this is something I learned from Wayne Dyer, who was a great spiritual teacher. He says, "Don't die, and the music is still in you,"
Right.
and it's about like giving your gift to the world, because you've been given gifts and you want to share them, and that's an amazing thing. There is another dimension of that, which is you want to live or you want to die also full of what? Full of experiences, full of moments, full of journeys, full of full of love, like all this kind of things, like savoring the moment, the days, the journeys, the milestones. Like all these are so important, right? So because we could be giving our best or doing the biggest impact, and we missed out on life.
It's so true. It's so
It's
true.
So
true.
in that case, the purpose, which is giving and impacting and having a mission, it becomes basically blocking us from experiencing life, because we are waiting for this big mission or this big vision. So we don't want to miss on life, because that's the biggest gift.
There's a beautiful quote by Chadwick Boseman that reads, and I was just looking up to make sure I get it right. "When I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left and could say, I used everything you gave me."
Yeah, and you know what the sad thing is? Even if we go through life with this attitude, we will not even use more than maybe 5 or 10 or 20%. You see?
That's
But
true.
even the saddest is that for most people, they don't even touch the 1%.
Amen. And that's our
And
next question we're going to move into. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, the fulfillment is in sharing also these gifts.
Absolutely. If we don't express what's within us, it gets stuck in us and we're not fulfilled, and then other people don't benefit from it. So it's either a win-win or a lose-lose, right?
Absolutely. This is another question, and again, I really encourage people to ask themselves these questions. Okay, what would I do if I had 1 year to live? Okay, the one of the questions, that there are a series of questions that and by the way, I read my answers every day. Okay, because just to remind myself. So one of the questions is this: how the world will look like with my work unfinished.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Stop it. You're killing me,
And
because that's the thing that I've been
and
freaking out about lately.
and you know what was my answer? My answer when I wrote this: few people will go through life depressed, maybe. And when I start reading the answers every day, I was like, you know what? Even if just 2 people on this planet will be depressed because I didn't do my work, I will feel sad. My soul will be sad because I procrastinated and I didn't finish my work. Why? Because what people would think about me, about what society would say about me, about like how I will look in the camera when I share my message, about how I don't look maybe cool or accepted. Like, is this a reason to let two people go through life depressed or not feeling loved?
Extraordinary.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
You know, and that's the beautiful lead to my question that I think so many people struggle with. And, you know, you and I align because you talk about love all the time. And
giving. This is something I have to say. I'm very inspired by your mission on that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's interesting that you say that even though I have a charitable organization that's all about giving and teaching about love and happiness, is at the end of the day, when you said, if you give too much and you don't find that balance between all of it, and I've had many years of my life that I realized I was doing that. And I had lost the balance because all I did was, give and give and give and give and give. And, I'm a mother. So, having children and, everything that goes along with that, that's what we do. And it's just been in the past few years that I realized I needed to get that balance back. And within my own mission in this world, I needed to get a little more clear on that. And so I think one of the challenges, or, you can go into any bookstore, they still exist, go onto Amazon, wherever that is, and you look under self-help, right? One of the biggest things we find under that topic is, how do we find that purpose? How do we find what our mission is, right? How do we tap into what you've been talking about today, a larger part of ourselves? So we're not going to work just for the sake of grabbing a paycheck. Listen, I'm the first one that understands you got to feed your family. So I completely and totally get that. But there's something more I'm hearing from you today. And that's when we tap into who we are, when we find that beautiful thing that we can share with the world. I hear abundance in this. So for the people that are out there that are still, out there looking for, trying to find their purpose, trying to find why they're here, talk to us about that, because I think that's the first step in the leadership in our own lives, as Dr. Roshanak, you were talking about, and then the leadership in the bigger picture of the service to those around us, the service to the world in the work that we do. So where am I going to find my path? If I'm feeling lost, if I haven't found that thing yet, where do I start looking?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, you don't want to go to a cave and sit there and meditate and try to find it, because then and for sure, I don't think like it. You want to go and make the most out of every day. I think that's where it starts. Like you don't want to kind of rely on finding something to start living, like, or to start giving. You want to start where you are. And what's interesting is that the more you take ownership of your life, the more life opens for you the door to find and to go in the direction of your purpose. So, and it's basically it's a mix of taking action, reflecting, and getting feedback. So for example, like, there are things like I don't like at all. Like, I mean, for me, like, my father used to manufacture exhausts for cars. I never liked it. He was a master in this. I never liked it. So I never imagined myself doing that work. I never like to put a table together, for example. I get it from and put or create something or build it like this. But I'm passionate about maybe creating a course or a program, or teaching people or inspiring people. So basically, your heart is always giving you like some clues or hints. Like, do I want to go left or right? Your heart is like more moving toward the right. Okay. And I tell you, like, the more we just become more aware, just becoming more aware, is you start to get like more and more insights. And ultimately we want to live a conscious life, and the more we are living it consciously, the more we would be able to start seeing the path which would lead us toward our purpose. But I would say again, like doing the best wherever we are, and taking more control of our life, and not feeling as a victim, and developing ourselves. And what I mean by developing ourselves in areas which we are passionate about. Steve Jobs, when he was at Stanford, he went and he took courses which are not related at all to his major. And look what we got. I mean, we had someone who really listened to his heart, and he didn't care about what other people say, all these things. He just listened to his heart. Now, some people argue about what kind of leader he was. This is a different story. What I'm saying is that, when you honor your heart and what your heart is telling you, and you go on that path, you have the courage. And having the courage doesn't mean necessarily that you want to go and jump. And even if you jump, you need to have a parachute. I was making video about it, just recently, which is, you want to have the courage, but at least you want to take some baby steps. And that's what I like about this whole thing, about this journey, is that you take baby steps. And some days you take leaps, and some days you will jump, but then you build the courage, because courage is a muscle that you can build. And the more you take action, the more you believe in yourself, the more you take bigger action.
I'm going to read something from your Instagram. And for those of you that do not follow the good doctor on Instagram, we
Which
need
you
to.
should be.
Well, yeah, we're going to get that link out, which you should be.
Instagram link, please, because he's got his website's amazing. His Instagram's amazing. I mean, it's just all really.
And I encourage it. And here's one of the posts that you made, I think just the day before yesterday. And it's around courage. And I want to ask you a little question around this one. And your quote was, having the courage to say no to what we don't want in our life is the starting point for getting what we want. Can you just talk on that for me?
Yeah.
Because you talked about the courage to say yes, but what's about the courage to say no? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, if we're not willing to say no, like to what we don't want, then how would we create a space for what we want? Like, and for many of us, we are scared to say no because we think like, but if I say no, then I will be alone. Let's talk about relationships, okay? Well, I mean, if I say no, like then I will be alone. Yes, you'll be alone. And you need to love yourself enough so you enjoy that company, right? Because no one in the world will make you feel loved if you don't love yourself. No one. So you need to have the courage to say no. Like this person, I'm not aligned with this person, maybe as values, maybe as, maybe we don't, I mean, there is chemistry in personalities. You feel attracted, like even friendship wise, right? There are certain people, you sit with them and you feel you knew them for a lifetime, right? But then there are other people you need to do so much effort to keep a conversation. And then some people tell you, yeah, you need to do some effort. Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm sorry. If I need to do like so much effort every single day to keep that friendship going, then it's like there's something which is not flowing, So saying no, like saying no to the job which is unfulfilling. And I'm not saying that you go and you resign today. Some people do that. Some
thousands and thousands did it during the Great Resignation, right?
Yeah, but I mean, again, like for me, is I had I was lucky in a way that I was at the same company, the same company, the same building, the same office. Okay, before I hated my job. I hated like working with my colleagues, and I was miserable. And then a few years later, I loved my job, I loved my colleagues, I loved the company, and I was fulfilled. What happened? two things: my mindset and myself, in terms of developing myself, became better, and started doing the work that I want to do. Before I drifted, I ended up somewhere. Like if your if your like dream is to go and live in Hawaii, and you end up in Shanghai, okay, like,
That's a difference.
you know, it's just, you can push yourself and try to convince yourself that that's okay and that's nice and it's a great city and all this, but you will not be happy. It's just like that. So you need to kind of continuously seek that.
And I just wanted to, I guess even ask you, some people will say, well, when it comes to work, and listen, this is a great example because you're on Instagram and superstar on Instagram, as people are, I want that fame and the fortune, and I want the big job and the big salary and all of the things that go along with the expectations that you talked about earlier when we started this conversation. How do people allow that, if baking is your thing and you love baking, how can we make that enough for people? I think that's a big part of what people seek and look for, is that, there's a certain expectation, whether it's by parents, family, outside world. How can we just become okay with what's our fuel, what's our light, what we want to share with the world? How do we become enough?
Yeah. Well, today more than ever, we have so many possibilities and opportunities. You can start a channel on social media and start to kind of, cook something like this or something, and then share picture of about it, like, and share, what does it take to do it, or talk about the experience of serving it to people. Or so you can do so many things today, and you don't need that much investment or capital to start. You can do it on the side for an hour or two. You can take courses on YouTube, online, like on blogs, like wherever. There are so many opportunities. The only obstacle is ourself and our mindset. We are standing in our own way, and I think that's why is so important to kind of start believing more in ourselves. Like I would go and stand in front of the mirror, and I look at myself deep in my eyes, and I say, I believe in you. I love you. I know that there is more in you that my eyes can see. And that's something you need to have. The best relationship you have with anyone is with yourself. Like you need to be like happy being with yourself and believe in yourself. And of course, at the beginning, you might be coming from a place which is dark, or you have scars, and then you work on that, and then you build yourself up from nothing.
And that's, I think, the greatest reminder, especially when we're talking about leadership, right? If our leaders of our world actually came from that place, what a different world we'd be living in.
Again, like I was depressed for a long time, and part of me was like, why this happened to me? Well, so you can help other people. That's like, imagine if I want to help someone who is a depressed person would come to me and I give advice. I don't have any not qualification, but I don't have the right beside the qualification to talk about this. So everything you are going through in your life, everything you went through, there is a purpose for it. And one of these purposes is that you get over it. Because that's what I say. If you've been to hell and back, do you realize that you are only one of the few who can save people who are stuck in hell?
So true. That's the embodied wisdom. So many people today are rushing through things. And as we talk about conscious leadership and business and spirituality in business, it's a matter of being present to what is going on and allowing the time for us to process what's happening, right? Everything's happening so fast, or we just don't pay attention to it, mostly because either we haven't been taught or don't know how to manage our emotions. Especially, I think, as you get more West, avoiding, ignoring, barreling through, whatever it is that I can do with my emotions. So, because somehow, unless I am happy and great and, at the most, the highest, the peak experience 24/7, I've somehow failed or something is wrong. And this is the worst narrative for us because it misleads us terribly. And we are, as again, a little neuropsychology here, where we're pattern matching, right? We have pathways in our brain that are specific for having us connect to our own experience and our agency and ourself, but in the context of environment, So if we think in the outside environment, everybody's doing great, then I feel that I'm the failure and that's a real threat to me. So of course I'm going to start changing, and that I'm falling more and more out of alignment, not just with myself, but with absolute truth. But
Yes.
moving forward from that, if we give ourselves the opportunity to whatever we experience, as you said, in the moment you pick up the diamond, not come back and let me see if I can find it. Also, because that's priming in the brain, right? All the things that have come together to bring you to this point, have you be able to fully connect to the nuances of what's going on, and that connect to yourself. And so the exterior and the interior come into alignment. And that's where the jewels are. And then the processing of all of this through the self-reflection, through the reflection, through the consideration, through the presence, allows us then to convert all this information and knowledge into wisdom, embodied wisdom, right? So now we have context. Now we have a deeper understanding that, as you said, is worth 100 books
Exactly.
because it's our experience.
Of course. Absolutely.
So having said that, now I have a question for you, of course. And that is, in this time of high tech, high speed, all of that, let's talk about tech and AI, because that's really speeding things up, where we feel like we need to catch up and keep up. And it goes back to what Jacqueline was asking you and discussing with you, and what you've been saying about our self-worth, our self-esteem, feeling relevant, feeling that we have something to say, feeling that we have something to bring forth, feeling that our gifts are worthy or worthwhile. So people are really worried about being replaced or becoming irrelevant because of this acceleration of technology, not just AI, but all of it. AI has just now exacerbated something. Just like when we had a global mental health crisis before the pandemic, it was just exacerbated by the pandemic. We were already accelerated before what's going on with AI. Now it's just exacerbated. So could you help us understand the importance of us connecting to the truth of our being and the truth of our life, and the truth of life itself, as we connect to the depths of our heart, as you said, where we can love ourselves, and that makes us love humanity and understand the beauty and the value of our own gifts and blessings. So we understand the importance of connecting to that, so that we bring forth our resonance and know that it's valuable, and how that might be a buffer, our understanding and deep alignment with self, how that can be a buffer for allowing our environments to become toxic, for whether the acceleration of tech, AI, or any other behaviors that might cause damage or suffering to us. Can you speak to how we could be fortifying ourselves, and in doing that, ensuring that we moderate and modulate our external environment in such a way that serves us, humanity, and all things in nature, as we are part of that, as opposed to allowing it to become toxic and maybe lead even to self-annihilation, either figuratively or literally?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to my mind is we need to be in control of the technology versus the technology controlling us in a way, or at least dictating how we are living. And that's why, again, like, we are so bombarded with so many notifications and so many messaging, and we need to kind of put boundaries there. So I would start there, and this is especially for every individual in a way, right? Um, I'm not worried in terms of replacement, in terms of talents, or what AI would be capable of doing, because if you look back in the history, you had agriculture, you have like a production, you have a lot of things which evolved, and people like moved to different roles, and they were which were more fitting to what they are capable of doing. So it takes time to be able to move and make the shift. um, there are a lot of discussions around, how if AI would be dangerous in terms of impacting our lives. And I have to say, this is something I haven't dived deep into, but this is where what we were talking about before, like having conscious and compassionate and human-centered leadership is so important, and purpose-driven versus profit-driven. Because otherwise we would run into a huge challenge for whole humanity in a way. So that's why we need to be cautious about this, and the people who are leading this effort need to be, hopefully they're very conscious about what are the implications of this. Yeah.
Can I dovetail on that with one other question? And then I can't believe we're already through our hour, which we knew was going to happen. We talk about AI, but you have mastered social media with a message that resonates with so many people, as we've said, and you understand the algorithms of many of the platforms. How can we relate the algorithm that you've created, the algorithm that we create in our own lives? How can we relate that to all that we've talked about today, where you get to create your reality, how we can tie this into what feeds our heart, what feeds our soul? How can we create an algorithm in our life that serves us?
So if we take the example of social media, and for me, my journey, maybe here the lesson I learned, which could be the answer to your question, is the power of consistency. And what I mean by that is that we are so conditioned that we do things when we feel like it. Now, here's a question: Does the sun rise every day at the same time? Does it
It shifts a little bit each day, but
no. So basically,
it rises in the morning and it sets in the
yeah,
evening. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it doesn't
not
rise
the same time.
But it's not the same time, right? So it's basically every day is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel its warmth with the same intensity every day? You don't, right? But imagine if the sun wakes up one day and says, you know what? It's cloudy, it's rainy, it's maybe snowing. So today I will go back to sleep. I will not show up. I mean, you would say,
I love this.
Of course, the sun will not do this, because the sun knows that especially on these days, it's needed the most. So consistency, if you're saying we want to create an algorithm for our life, consistency is maybe the base for that algorithm, which means we show up regardless,
Even on the cloudy days.
Yeah.
So a consistency, do the seasons show up at the same day every year? No. Do they show up at the same intensity every year? No. Do they show up every year? Yes. Consistency. So that's the power of, and if we want to change our life, that's what I would say, I think. And if we want to create this algorithm, because at the end, look, I mean, social media, of course, there's algorithm, etc. But at the end, it favors the one who is consistent, So at least one of the bases of that algorithm. So imagine if we live our life like this. I went early when I was at university, I learned Spanish guitar, okay? And I play Spanish guitar. Now, I have
next
a friend.
show.
Yeah, I have a friend who was with me, and we used to learn together. But we didn't take it seriously. We didn't. And I was talking to him just recently. I told him, can you imagine if we had this muscle of consistency from the beginning from that age? How would our life have been? If we took it like for this just talent or like passion we had, how would we play now, for example? You know. So I really believe that if we can teach just this quality for people, for the new generations, we can change the world. Would you give? Would you give? Only when you feel like it, or you would give every day? I mean, you are on mission about giving. Let me tell you
Every day.
this. I ask myself this question every day. Did I give today? And you know what I learned talking about the power of reflections? Every day, any day I don't give, it's a dry day. It's a missed day.
It loses its richness.
Right. Amen.
Amen.
And now you know. And now you know.
Okay, so every day, everybody, you can get a little bit of Dr. Fouad Alame on Instagram, on TikTok. You can go
LinkedIn.
to LinkedIn, to wherever it is. He's on all these social channels, and he's got this killer website, and he's got his own podcast. So maybe we could get that up again.
And let's not forget the 3 books, whether it's inspired leadership.
But we're going to get to that. Hold on. We're going to get to all that. But
Okay.
I'm just saying that because I don't know how I'm going to live every day without getting a little bit of your jewels, a little bit of the gems, a little bit of really, it's so enriching, this hour that we've spent with you. And of course, we've spent time with you before. We've done all our research. We've spent much more time with you than you've spent with us. And it's only gotten better now. The more we get, the more we want. So I'm just saying, for myself personally, at least, amazing. So, Jacqueline, don't we have a question we'd like to ask our guests at the very end of every show?
Right. The end of every show, we ask our final question, which for those people today that are having a hard time getting off the couch, we have our let's get somebody off the couch today. And you said this, that it's only 2 people in your lifetime that you saved from depression or anxiety or anything. So today it is, what's your get off the couch moment? What's the one thing you're going to tell our audience today? And for those that are listening afterwards, what would you say to them to get them off the couch and go actually live their life?
It's the most precious gift that we have is this life, and like I have this watch, and for me, watch is, I mean, of course it tells me the time, but every time I put it on and off, I'm like, please, I want to make the most out of every hour of every day, and because I know that every day I will have less time, you see. So and fulfillment comes from being out there, for not being on the couch. And if you want to sit on the couch for a day or 2 or a month and feel like a victim, do it, but then pick yourself up and go on, and because it's precious. You don't want to reach the end and say, like, how would it have been if I took that step? Because out of all the emotions out there, regret is the worst, because you can't do anything about it. Anger, you can solve it. Resentment, you can deal with it. Grudges, whatever. But how could you deal with regret? You will not be able to go back. So picking yourself up and going on.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Exactly how we need to end today. Dr. Roshanek?
Wow. What a show again. Thank you so much, Dr. Alame. You're amazing. So you have been very kind and generous with your time, with your insights from all your extensive experience, from all your embodied wisdom. tell us, please, if you would, because I know for myself personally and our viewers who are here live and who will be listening to the recording, we would like to know what is the newest Dr. Alame offering or activity, and how can people best connect with you?
Yeah, well, most of my work is has been in the corporate world. So only recently I started to kind of open up and some potential programs and services to individuals. I have the coaching program, which I just launched like 10 days ago or so, which is the first ever like
And
something.
how can we find more about that coaching program?
It's on Instagram. It's on Instagram. It's called Change Your Life Coaching, and for me, this is based on my journey working with people in the corporate world and leaders, and also my own journey, because coming from a place where again I was depressed, demotivated, hated my job, all this kind of things, and then changed it. And then there is a program which will be based on the 1 year to live, which is coming up. It's the 1 year life accelerator. And it's about like really asking these deep questions and making some positive changes on your life.
Yes, amazing.
And so tell us a little bit also about your books.
Yeah, so the books, I have 2 book series. One is Change Your Company, which is a leadership book series. The book is called Inspire Your People. And I have Change Your Life book series, and I have 2 books there, which is Empower Yourself, Inspire Your Life. All the books are written in a way which are like passages, like almost like poetry, and simple to read. And they're great to kind of feed your mind with some positive thoughts. It's like almost like affirmations.
You could like open it daily just to the page and say, what do I need today? Right?
Yeah.
I love those. Yeah. Amazing.
I love it. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Dr. Alame.
Well, thank you for being with us.
Very much.
Thank you so
joined
much.
us, that you made the time for
You've
us
just
today.
gained lots of new stalkers, so we'll all be there for you.
Thank you. I'm grateful for having this opportunity, for having this conversation, for sharing these moments here.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our extraordinary guest, Dr. Fouad Alame. If you've missed any part of this show, it's been recorded, so go on back and listen to it. If you need to hear some of these gems again, I understand. I will be doing the same. We have the recordings up on Facebook and YouTube, and on our own, of course, private viewing room, our platform. We invite you to join us next week as we continue with our conscious business. We will have Gordy Ball with us. And the topic of that will be the future of investing in consciousness. So we're super excited for that show. Also, as usual, live on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. And now that all of us have gotten our clocks adjusted, 5 p.m. GMT, and we can figure it out from there on in. If you'd like to connect with Jacqueline or myself and get some more information, you can find Jacqueline at 365give.ca, and you can find me at accesstothepath.com. Please check out our playlist of all the amazing, inspiring shows that we've had so far, and the really beautiful conversations with our inspirational guests that have been sharing their own personal stories and strategies. It's absolutely extraordinary and amazing, and we recommend listening to them, because honestly, we are so fortunate to get some of the best guests on this show. And Dr. Fouad Alame is a perfect example. So thank you again for joining us. God bless. Wish you all the best. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.